In the hustle and bustle of our daily tasks, it's easy to overlook the less obvious hazards in our workspace. These hidden dangers are often underestimated and can compromise not just our efficiency, but also our safety. Fortunately, through effective job site housekeeping practices, we can learn to identify and address these risks to create a safer work environment for everyone. But beyond the importance for our well-being and productivity, Jobsite housekeeping is also an essential component of compliance with standards set by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. For example, OSHA Standard 1910, Section 22, requires the maintenance of a clean, orderly and hazard-free work environment for all industries, while Standard 1926, Section 25, provides further housekeeping requirements specific to the construction industry. Compliance with these standards isn't just about adhering to regulations, it's about a commitment to best practices that ensure our safety. In this course, we're going to explore the importance of job site housekeeping and its role in preventing injuries related to common workplace hazards. Specifically, we'll discuss the hazards associated with poor housekeeping and how to prevent them, including risks related to slips, trips and falls, falling objects, fire hazards, and chemical hazards. We'll also discuss best practices for good housekeeping, focusing on the proper use, storage and maintenance of equipment, hazard communication and signage, and the value of housekeeping plans and checklists. By familiarizing yourself with these common hazards and good housekeeping practices, you're taking the first steps towards creating a safer, more positive work environment for yourself and your colleagues. Let's get started. Our first area of focus is understanding the hazards associated with poor housekeeping. A cluttered, disorganized workspace doesn't just affect productivity and morale, but it can also create an environment prone to accidents. We'll dive into the risks presented by slips, trips and falls, falling objects, fire hazards, and improper handling of chemicals, all of which can be made worse by poor housekeeping. We'll also discuss some effective and actionable strategies to help mitigate these risks. Slips, trips and falls account for a significant portion of work injuries. One main cause? Poor housekeeping. Cluttered walkways, wet or greasy floors, and scattered or unorganized materials can all create these hazards. If you see a spill or leak, don't walk away. Report it immediately and clean it up if possible. Even a small water spill can quickly lead to a dangerous slip and fall. For safe movement and evacuation, keep all walkways, stairwells and exits clear, especially emergency exits. Even a box, tool or open drawer left carelessly in a walkway can become a tripping hazard. Also, be sure to cover and secure any loose cords that might trip a colleague or pull down heavy equipment. Immediately report any worn, ripped or damaged flooring. A loose board, projecting nail, or even a neglected rip in a carpet can cause a serious fall. Avoid the temptation to use chairs, countertops, or other unstable surfaces when trying to reach elevated places. Instead, always choose the appropriate equipment, such as a step ladder or step stool. Ensure that all four legs are firmly planted on the ground, providing a stable base and preventing loss of balance. Falling objects can pose a serious risk, particularly in industries where materials or equipment are used or stored at height. Improperly stored items and unsecured furniture, like filing cabinets, can fall and cause damage to equipment or lead to personal injury, and even death. Tools left on a high shelf or platform can turn into dangerous projectiles if knocked over. Be sure to store and secure all tools, equipment and materials properly to prevent falling. This especially includes any tools with sharp edges that may pose a greater risk if left exposed. When using or storing items at height, also consider the installation of safety measures like toe boards, which can prevent items from rolling off an otherwise unprotected edge. The higher an object, the more potential energy it has and the greater damage it can inflict. Be sure to store heavy objects close to the floor and out of walkways, reducing the risk of damage if they fall. A toppling filing cabinet or storage drawer can not only damage property, but also cause serious personal injury. Be sure to keep heavier items in lower drawers and only open one drawer at a time to prevent a tip-over. Poorly stacked piles can easily turn into a hazardous avalanche of objects. When stacking materials, be sure to do so in a way that prevents sliding, falling, or collapsing. Heavier items should be placed at the bottom, and no stack should be so high that it becomes unstable. Consider using sturdy shelving units for storage and, where necessary, install safety barriers or nets to prevent items from falling. Workplace fires can lead to disastrous consequences, causing extensive property damage and endangering lives. Mismanaged combustible materials, improperly stored flammable liquids, obstructed fire safety equipment, and uncontrolled electrical hazards all contribute to these risks. The excessive buildup of paper piles, trash, or flammable materials can escalate a minor spark into a major blaze, allowing a fire to spread quickly and easily. To limit the risk of fire ignition or spreading, keep only the combustible materials needed for the current job in the work area. If materials are unneeded, dispose of them properly or move them back to a designated storage area. Flammable liquids, gases, and other materials should be stored in designated locations away from ignition sources when not in use. Even a seemingly harmless item, like an oily rag discarded near a heater, could ignite a dangerous fire. Avoid exposing your clothing to flammable liquids and use personal protective equipment to prevent exposure. Remember, flammable liquid-soaked clothing can easily catch fire, turning a minor incident into a personal emergency. If your clothing does become contaminated, change immediately. Report any hazards in electrical areas immediately to your supervisor or on-duty safety personnel, and issue a work order to fix the item. A seemingly minor issue like a frayed cord or an overloaded outlet can quickly lead to an electrical fire. Lastly, ensure the areas around fire doors, sprinklers, and fire extinguishers are kept clear for ease of access and firefighting effectiveness. Stored materials should be kept at least 18 inches away from automatic sprinklers and at least 3 feet away from the ceiling. Improper storage and handling of chemicals can lead to spills, exposure, and even fires or explosions. Proper housekeeping practices for chemical safety include proper storage and handling of chemicals, spill prevention and containment, and regular employee training on these topics. All employees should understand the hazards associated with the chemicals they encounter, how to handle them safely, and what to do in an emergency. Regular training will help prevent accidents and ensure a safe response if one occurs. This training should include how to locate, read, and comply with each chemical's safety data sheet, often referred to as an SDS. Employers are also responsible for providing safety data sheets for every hazardous chemical present in the workplace. All chemicals should be stored in accordance with their safety data sheet specifications. This may mean separating certain chemicals, storing them at specific temperatures, or keeping them in specifically designed containers. A well-organized storage area reduces the risk of accidental mixtures or spills. Always use the appropriate personal protective equipment when handling hazardous chemicals. This equipment might include gloves, goggles, or respirators, depending on the chemical in question and the requirements found in their safety data sheet. Now that we've discussed some common hazards of poor job site housekeeping, let's talk about what good housekeeping looks like and some best practices to follow in the workplace. The principle of the right tool for the right job is more than just a catchphrase, it's a core tenet of workplace safety. We need to use our equipment correctly, maintain them rigorously, and ensure they're always ready to perform. Before using any tool, equipment, or machinery, always inspect it to ensure it's clean, in good condition, and ready for use. This extends from the simplest hand tools to the most complex machinery. Regular maintenance is also crucial. Just as you wouldn't drive a car without regular oil changes, you shouldn't use a tool or equipment that hasn't been properly maintained. Proper maintenance goes hand in hand with appropriate storage. We shouldn't just toss a tool aside when we're finished using it. Instead, each tool and piece of equipment should have a designated storage spot for when not in use. This not only extends their lifespan, but also prevents accidents that can occur from misplaced tools. And if you're not sure where a particular tool should be stored, just ask a supervisor. Remember, a well-organized workspace is a safer, more efficient workspace. Wearing personal protective equipment, or PPE, is vital in our defense against workplace hazards. Depending on the work being performed, this could include a variety of gear. For example, gloves and goggles may be necessary when handling hazardous chemicals to prevent skin and eye injuries. In more physically demanding or hazardous environments, like construction sites, hard hats are used to protect against falling objects, while steel-toed boots guard our feet against crushing hazards. Personal fall arrest systems, like harnesses and lanyards, are also essential when working at height, preventing dangerous falls. Remember, deliberately misusing or neglecting to use PPE isn't a sign of toughness. It's a reckless gamble with your safety. As employees, we are responsible for using PPE correctly and encouraging those around us to do the same. For employers, this responsibility extends to ensuring that all relevant PPE is available, well-maintained, and used correctly. Effective communication is a cornerstone of a safe work environment. It keeps us all in the loop about potential hazards, safety protocols, and changes that can impact our well-being. As we go about our work, it can be easy to overlook basic safety and cleanliness practices. That's where reminder signage comes in. Signs to keep emergency exits clear, wash hands after use, or even a nudge to lift with your legs are all ongoing visual reminders you can install to help maintain a safe and sanitary work environment and build your workplace's safety culture. When it comes to more serious hazards, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Clearly visible warning signs can instantly alert us to known hazards in our environment. Whether it's a wet floor, a non-smoking area, or a construction site overhead, these signs provide crucial information at a glance and should be installed where appropriate. As employees, it's important to pay attention to these signs, understand what they mean, and act accordingly to avoid potential hazards. When handling or storing hazardous materials, clear labeling is a necessity. From cleaning supplies to industrial chemicals, every container of a hazardous substance should be clearly labelled with its name, hazard class, and safety information. This not only helps us handle these materials safely, but also enables a swift and effective response in case of spills or accidents. One highly valuable tool for maintaining safety in the workplace is a robust housekeeping plan, coupled with an actionable checklist. These tools provide a practical framework for implementing and maintaining housekeeping best practices consistently and efficiently. A well-designed housekeeping plan outlines the standards, protocols, and procedures for maintaining a safe and organised workspace. It acts as a compass, guiding every team member on what needs to be done and how to do it. A comprehensive checklist complements this plan by tracking progress, promoting accountability, and ensuring nothing slips through the cracks. The first step to creating your Jobsite housekeeping plan begins with a thorough assessment of your workplace. This process should identify all potential hazards, areas prone to clutter, and high traffic zones needing extra attention. Involving all relevant workers helps foster shared responsibility and increases the chances of identifying as many potential issues as possible. Based on your assessment, establish clear, actionable goals for your housekeeping plan, outlining specific standards and procedures. This could range from managing clutter in a specific area to scheduling regular maintenance of certain equipment, with clear directions on how each task should be performed. A critical component of a housekeeping plan is clarity about responsibility. Allocate specific tasks to each team member, setting clear expectations about when and how these tasks should be completed. Transform these tasks into a tangible, easy-to-follow checklist to guide everyone in the workplace. Ensure everyone understands the process for reporting housekeeping issues and how they should be addressed. Your housekeeping plan should be dynamic, adapting to the evolving needs of the workplace. Regular inspections and audits can help you assess the effectiveness of your plan and make any necessary adjustments. As we come to the end of this course together, let's take a moment to reflect on the important topics we've discussed. We've dissected key issues, revealing the less obvious hazards and some best practices that can impact not only our productivity, but also our personal safety. Specifically, we highlighted the potential dangers associated with poor housekeeping, including preventing slips, trips, and falls, securing falling objects, addressing fire hazards, and preventing chemical hazards. We further examined good housekeeping best practices, such as the appropriate use, storage, and maintenance of equipment, the importance of personal protective equipment, using hazard communication and signage, and consistent implementation of these practices through practical housekeeping plans and checklists. As you go about your work, integrate these valuable lessons into your daily routines, working together with your teammates to establish a safer and healthier work environment for all. And remember, a tidy, well-organized workspace is a safer, more efficient workspace. Keep the learning momentum going and stay vigilant.